Legacy 2026 has been by far one of the most valued additions in terms of the Ninjago set catalogue. Its additions have been fantastic and the minifigures are definitely amazing as well. But of course, it's not the first instance of Legacy outfits being given to us throughout the Ninjago lifespan. So, in today's video, as in accordance with all of the other Ninjago minifigure reviews I've been doing, I'm going to be taking a look at the next iteration of minifigures that we got, and it was the first wave of Legacy outfit, which of course comes with the iconic Legacy Kai. But considering that those minifigures were releasing around 6 years ago now, you do often have to question whether or not it's worth going back to those minifigures, whether or not you want just a set of Ninja as a representation in your collection, or if you just want a new version of them in terms of a much larger Ninjago collection. There are so many things to consider when buying Ninjago minifigures, so I try my best to help make it simple. So today we're going to take a look at the Legacy Wave 1 designs, and see whether or not these minifigures are actually worth getting. So let me not waste any more of your time, and let's take a look at them. And here they all are, and these minifigures are of course much more of a simple depiction of a ninja suit. We have had some very complex designs over the years, but this definitely did feel like more of a return to form to the more classic era of the show. But there is nothing wrong with that whatsoever, because they all do look absolutely fantastic, adopting all of their elemental colours and utilising it very well. I will say a big standout here is Nia, because she did go back to her original colour scheme for this version of Legacy. That was honestly a very interesting note, and I was actually kind of shocked, but it was definitely for the better. Another big return for this version of Legacy was the golden weapons, and I am mentioning them now and I will show them off a little bit later, but it did feel like they were a necessary addition to show here. These of course weren't really around for a while by this point, so to get them back and having some changes done was definitely interesting. Of course the main difference was Cole and Jay's, and we'll get into that in a bit, but you can definitely see that there's some returning elements that were definitely welcomed. But with all of these returning elements, what about the new? Well, the major thing is the fact that this was the introduction to the Legacy hood, and it's definitely become one of the most iconic and one of the most favorited ninja hoods in all of Ninjago's history. It's a fantastic looking addition, and it definitely does work very well when it does come to these suits. But let's actually now look at them individually, starting off with the iconic Legacy Kai. As much as he is joked about, it is still an absolutely fantastic looking minifigure. The details and the printing are absolutely astounding looking. The more simple ninja suit along with the dragon print is amazing, and the dragon elemental symbol on the back is definitely a fantastic finish to go along with it. There is just something so simple and nice about this minifigure that I just can't really quantify. As someone who has been buying Ninjago sets literally since 2011, this suit just reminds me so much of Pilot's Kai. I would like to know if this is the same thing for anyone else, but just the nice and honest nature of this thing just really sticks out to me. And of course, like I said, he's joked about a lot. I mean, if you release in, 18 sets? Of course people are going to make jokes about this minifigure. But I do think that besides all of the reputation it has claimed, it definitely does just feel like something special. He comes with the Sword of Fire, of course, and it's just a fantastic addition. These are meant to tie into March of the Oni as well, so it definitely does work for that as well. But I just really like this version of Kai. I don't really know what else to say about it beyond that. It's just, it works in every sort of way possible. The colors blend, the details blend, but it's just got that nice nature that I just think needs to be appreciated. So, beyond all of the jokes, I really like Legacy Kai. Next up is Legacy J, and again, the printing and the detail is just so simplistic but amazing. Whilst Kai reminds me of Pilot's Kai, this very much reminds me of JDX. Of course, that's a very expensive minifigure now, but the thing is that this one does just have that same general look. The gold and the blue go together amazingly, and the small tint of dark blue are even better. This design, of course, will resonate with a lot of people because this is the outfit that he's in when he actually asks Nia to be his Yang. So it does actually also have a level of iconicness to it as well. It also did come out in many sets, but that's just something people cite with Legacy Kai. But this version honestly is iconic in its own way because it's a scene that a lot of people will remember. So it definitely does have that extra added bonus when it does come to it. Giving him the nunchucks of lightning as well is also just a fantastic addition. I will say that these were my favourite nunchucks for a very long time before Legacy 2026. I just like the dragon hilt actually being used. So it does just make this figure feel very complete, and definitely is just a fantastic looking version of Jay to go along with it. So in similar vein to Kai, I just really like this version of Jay. I just think it succeeds in everything that it needs to do. Third up is actually going to be Legacy Cole. In similar vein again, the design is simple but extremely effective. Count how many times I say simple. But the thing is that, again, Kai reminds you of Pilot, Jay reminds you of DX. The center of the printing on this Cole is absolutely amazing and reminds me a lot of ZX Cole, and I think that's just a fantastic thing to actually see. I guess this design is also iconic because this is also the outfit that Cole had when he did the fake out. March of the Oni was extremely eventful, but the thing is that I really just like how this design looks. And again, the added iconicness does give it that little bonus. But I don't think that iconicness should define a minifigure, but it definitely does have an aspect to it. Giving him the new Scythe of Quakes, this is a more brick-built one. I don't overly mind it, but I don't know if it's exactly my favourite. The thing is that they've never really been able to nail down the concept of the Scythe of Quakes, so I just kind of don't really know which one I prefer on an overall. Honestly, leave in the comments down below what your favourite Scythe of Quakes is, because I'm actually very curious. But it still does make this minifigure feel very complete, so I don't mind it whatsoever, and I associate it with this outfit, so I just don't mind it because of it. So, on an overall, just another fantastic minifigure that I actually really like. Fourth up is actually going to be Zane. Again, another design that I absolutely adore and does remind me of an old outfit. This one actually reminds me of Stone Armor Zane, which obviously makes sense because it's again one of his most iconic outfits that he ever had because it's the one that he made the ultimate sacrifice in. But the detail and the printing on this one is amazing. The utilization of black and gold with the white is fantastic, and the bits of grey just make it even better. You actually have options in terms of this variant of Zane. You could get versions of him that actually have the titanium head and versions of him that actually has the human head. I personally will always opt for titanium head because I just simply prefer it in every single sense. But I understand why human head is good. But I just like how this version of the head actually looks with the outfit. I think it just makes it feel completed and I love it for it. And the Shurikens of Ice, of course, do make this one also feel complete. On technicality, there are changes to the Shurikens here, because this is the more gripped piece that we actually got within the last few years by this point. So it's not the more smooth finish that the original Shurikens had. But again, this is just a fantastic looking version of Zane. I adore this look, and I definitely do think, again, it's just another standout that I absolutely love. The fifth minifigure to talk about here is going to be Nia. This version of her, like I said, actually goes back to her old color scheme. So of course it does resonate in terms of her older styles, so it does remind me a lot of Possession, but I absolutely love the detailing and the printing. This definitely does feel more unique in comparison to others, but not in a bad way. It's just mainly the colors that give you that reminder. Like I said, this minifigure does technically also have the added bonus of the iconicness because of the Yang scene, so I actually think that this is definitely a valued addition. And if you do think about Ninjago prints, this is the only way to actually get the Legacy hood in this color scheme, so it does have that added bonus because of it. I will say that this is definitely a fantastic looking Nia suit, so I'm not mad at it whatsoever, but it definitely does, again, like I said, have the added bonuses. In terms of accessories, I guess you would give her the Oni Trilogy spear, but that's not really the most necessary one of the bunch. Honestly, you could probably give her the scythe, and she would basically be good to go, because she does use it in the last episode, so you could kind of recreate that scene with it. But of course, if you do want to also then give her water elemental pieces, that is another option. But beyond all of this, she's just another fantastic addition. I don't have anything bad to say about these minifigures because they just succeed in every sort of sense. This brings us to Lloyd. The Lloyd version of the minifigure is also just amazing. He doesn't distinctly remind me of any particular version of Lloyd. I will say later down the line, I do now associate him with the younger version of him because of Dragon's Rising. But the thing is that regardless of that, he just looks absolutely fantastic. The dragon print is on full display, and the use of the darker greens is also absolutely amazing to see. To again sound like a broken record, I guess this version of him also does have a level of iconicness to him, because this is one of the few times we actually got to see a ninja interact with the first Spinjitzu master, and he did it in this outfit. So it's another memorable scene that is featuring this suit. So I guess that is one thing that you can definitely give Legacy here, is the fact that all of them are associated with fairly meaningful things when it does come to Ninjago as a whole. He doesn't have a golden weapon as an accessory, but you do have a couple of options for him. You could give him elemental pieces, you could give him the Sword of Sanctuary, but personally speaking, he does just work perfectly well with the sword that he does have in the Oni trilogy. It is a very nice addition and definitely does go along very well with this version of Lloyd. So, again, like the rest of the ninja, he does just look fantastic, and I have absolutely no problems with him. But we aren't done there, because we do have some extras to talk about from this first wave of Legacy, beginning with Golden Lloyd. This version of him honestly was something that I don't think I was personally expecting, but in retrospect obviously does make sense. This is a completely gold variant, utilizing the Legacy hood in the gold with a darker green, and does have a unique face print to go along with it. Of course, being the representation of his golden power from the second season, this does look absolutely stellar looking. Of course, it's not canon by any account unless you count the green and gold shorts. Even then, there are differences in the design, but this one does just look absolutely amazing and definitely is a standout in the Legacy collection. This isn't a ninja you would give an accessory to either. The only thing I would consider is maybe doing a bit of a faithful nod back to the original Season 2 sets, where Golden Lloyd actually does use the Sword of Fire. But I do think, just on a general scale, he just looks fantastic as is. There is nothing you need to give to him to make him look any better, because this is potentially one of my favourite minifigures just by how good it looks. But as the other version of Lloyd, so let's get into the last two for today. The first of the last two is going to be Legacy Wu. His first variant was a black and white outfit calling back to one of his first minifigures from 2011. This is a fantastic looking design and definitely one of the best updates we have seen in all of Legacy. He does just look fantastic, and honestly I don't have any issue again with this minifigure. This is honestly, in my opinion, one of the most definitive versions of Wu that we've ever gotten. It genuinely is a staple, and I don't think there's much improvement on this. Wu doesn't often get an outfit that involves black, so when he does, it definitely does stand out, and this is no exception. The best way of putting it is just the fact that this is potentially one of the best Wus, and give him his bow staff and he only gets better. I honestly think this is by far one of the best versions to get, and of course I'll go into this later, but considering that he's also one of the most affordable ones, this definitely does feel like a no-brainer of a minifigure, and it just has an added bonus of being so great looking. And the last minifigure for today is going to be the two-armed variant of Garmadon. Of course, he does have a four-armed variant, but I'm going to talk about that in the Legacy Wave 2 video. This version of him, of course, isn't really doing all that much to differentiate itself from all of the past and future versions of two-armed Garmadon. It is a very simple design, but it does do it extremely well. He does come with a new face print. I don't know exactly what their reference is with this design, but I do like it, but I will say it's on the lower end of my Garmadon face print ranking, but there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. The bone helmet is of course absolutely great, and he does actually have leg printing, something that other two-armed Garmadon designs typically do miss out, so it definitely does have that as a bonus. Again, I wouldn't give this minifigure any sort of accessory. He kind of just stands on his own 2 feet. The closest thing I guess would be one of the golden weapons, but you don't really have to. But apart from that, that is the last of the Legacy minifigures, and this is definitely a fantastic closeout. This isn't necessarily one that you have to get, but if you do need a two-armed Garmadon, this one is definitely great for it and does have unique features for it. But on a wider scale, are the Legacy Wave 1 minifigures worth going back to? Of course, if you're going for every Ninjago minifigure, you do need to get these, and there is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But if you do want a full set of ninja minifigures as a representation of Ninjago in your collection, these genuinely might be the answer. Not only are all of these designs absolutely amazing and they encompass a lot of things that you do need, for example Golden Lloyd, the thing is that all of these are also ridiculously cheap. All of them are noted as being some of the cheapest Ninjago minifigures out there. I mean, I believe Legacy Kai alone, brand new, is under £1. So the thing is that you could most definitely get all of these for extremely cheap and have some fantastic minifigures for your price. I actually think that these are a no-brainer in terms of recommendation. I really do think these are some of the best minifigures we've ever gotten. Like I said, they're joked about a lot, but that's not an indication that they're bad. They're honestly just some minifigures that I actually think succeed in every sort of sense. So, if you're looking for some Ninjago minifigures to get and you're hesitant on Legacy 1, take this as a sign to get them, because you won't be disappointed and they don't break the bank, something that a lot of Ninjago suit lines actually do. So, that is going to be what I think when it comes to Legacy, and this is where I want to pass it off to you guys. Do you like Legacy Wave 1? Is this a range of minifigures that you do actually like to have, or are these ones that you actually don't like? I would love to know your thoughts on them, because I genuinely don't have any issue with these whatsoever. But of course, like always, thank you very much for watching, and I do hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people. And if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always become a channel member and join the legends that you see on screen. Each of you are absolute legends for your support, and it truly does mean the world to me. But like I said, that is about it for today, and take care. Okay, bye!